That is going to be quite an experience. I'm gonna see if I can delete all their AI wallpapers though. I do not want them on. I don't want them on the system. I'm just gonna see if I can delete them. Uh, anyways, that's basically where we're at. There's gonna be a document that's probably gonna be dropped sometime later on today or tomorrow-ish or something by somebody. I know at least 3 people who have been affected by this, possibly even more. The general rule of thumb whenever there is drama is, since I'm not a drama VTuber, typically don't talk about stuff like that. If it's not video game drama, which is different, but like, yeah, I just I don't really approve of what the person did, and it's not good. They had dug their claws in so many people's communities and backs. It's not even funny. Um, so it's not good. But at the end of the day, no matter any way that I see it, since I've essentially removed myself from the situation, as well as essentially basically said my piece and left at that point, there will be something in that document that was me being having a neutral stance on stuff, because I don't want to deal with any of the drama. The drama sucks. It's not a good thing to deal with anyway. It's something that I brought up in my Discord server. Like, I just won't put up with it. Now if somebody like I know and they're fucking having a fucking episode, that might be different. But like, if it's somebody I don't know and somebody starts going into my fucking Discord and saying some random shit that may not even be true, then I'm just gonna remove them. That's just what it is, Like, there are people who got slandered for no reason. Nobody deserves that. No, not a single person slandered, especially when they didn't do anything wrong. And I know at least 3 people who have been slandered by this other person. Which, of course, I'll bring more light to. I'll probably end up posting the document in my Discord just to show clarity of the situation. But at that point, it's like pretty cut and dry. I've been aware of it for a little bit, but I'm just gonna say it's been handled pretty good, at least. It's not something that I would wish upon anybody, though. Like, fuck. Just, being able to handle stuff accordingly is probably like the best thing somebody can do. Even if it's like been a shit show. That's basically what that whole situation's been like. It's just been a whole fucking shit show. But it is at least a decent thing to say that that it's pretty much over with after this point. See if I can buy supplies real quick. I'm not the type of person that gets into drama anyways. It's just sometimes you get dragged into it, and I did essentially get dragged into it until I removed myself, because like, I won't put up with that. It doesn't make anybody look good in any situation, for the most part. That might depend on what the situation is, of course. But like, it's definitely not something anybody should be feeding themselves into. It's very much, I would say, like a VTuber taboo to start going into drama, because like, yeah, you'll see drama VTubers all the time. And I'm just like, it's not the type of person I am, really. Like, yeah, I might bring up something like, oh, this shit happened, this, and this, but that's not me, like, anything that actually matters. What the fuck am I trying to do? Which is, like, basically why I just don't approve of, I'll also do this. Basically why I just don't approve of, like, depending on the situation, of course. I just don't approve of, like, getting into random drama, because all it does is create problems. And I know of at least 2 people who had done nothing but drag people into drama. And when the document's out there, I might give more clarity on the situation. I just know it's like, it's not very acceptable, in my opinion. And of course, like, everybody's gonna get in their own little bits of drama and everything, but I'm just like... I'm just basically like, I don't really talk to enough people to get into drama. If somebody does have an issue with me, they need to fucking say it. It's basically what it is. I can't really, like... I can't help somebody if they don't want to help themselves. Which has been very apparent with the whole situation I'm aware of. But it's also... I would say it's also good to, fuck is the abalone? But I guess it's also to, like, help... I guess it's also the good to identify when these problems happen. Because I think in the future, I kind of made the mistake of, like, even listening to what it was. I think in the future, I'm just going to be like, nah. Unless it's, like, going to directly affect me, I'm just like, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to participate or be a part of this, because it can create issues down the line. And I've been streaming for long enough to understand when shit like that can happen. My general advice is, like, if somebody's just trying to drag you into drama, just, you know, say your piece, say what you don't want to be a part of, and just don't be a part of it. The problem is, like, nowadays, you have people that are like, on Twitter, on, you know, YouTube, you know, some people, you know, want to always be in drama, because they think it's going to boost their visibility. They also think it's going to boost their, you know, their whole community and stuff. It's like, that's not how it works all the time. Like, some people it might work with it, but you're gonna end up suffering from a lot of diminishing returns, which is basically what a lot of people don't understand. If you're always in constant drama, what happens when you're no longer in that drama? Well, your community is gonna get very, very bored if they were feeding into that, you know? Like, it's one thing to have it's one thing to have something interesting to talk about. Another thing, and it's another thing to, fuck. Another thing to basically, continue to foster a bunch of drama. This is something that I've noticed. I'm not going to be really too specific with it, but if you're having a community, you're having constant problems in your community where there's so much drama and it just won't stop. But yet you turn around and try to say your community is a safe place. Your community is probably not a safe place if it keeps happening. Now, if it happened due to circumstances outside of your control, that's different. A lot of this stuff is basically up to circumstance, which is basically like a lot of these people who starting out streaming, you know, they can continue to cause continual drama. Well, that doesn't bode well with me at all. I don't really approve of that. I think if you're going to spend time out of your day to cause a lot of drama for no reason, or make slanderous accusations toward people to sweep things under the rug, which I've witnessed this more than once. This isn't like the first time I've witnessed this. What the fuck? Oh. Then it's basically like how worth it is it to feed into that kind of shit? I don't think it's worth it. I think if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. But also at the same time, if you have no business being in that sort of situation, then don't be in that situation. It's much more easier to, depending on what the situation is, remove yourself from the situation. Because I don't think it's worth over here. I don't think it's worth being a part of drama that doesn't need to be a part of. At the same time, I don't think whenever you're trying to remove somebody from your community that you should be making slanderous accusations towards them. If you didn't want somebody in your community, just remove them. Don't fucking start causing problems for people that literally have no problems to, you know, actually be, you know, literally, you know, have no problems to actually cause. Because, like, at that point, it's like, what do they think that they're doing? They think it's like, a game or something? It's not a game. Like, some circumstances, these slanderous accusations could ruin somebody for a while. And in other cases, it can also change people's perspective on somebody immediately. Some people aren't able to actually sit back and think, is this other person telling the truth? Like, not a lot of people are able to do that. At least a decent amount are not. The people that can, they know. They know what I'm talking about. But at the same time, it's like, it's very much just a waste of time. Like, if you were to sit back, like, yeah, watching drama VTubers, you know, watching, like, stuff like, shit, like, watching people who, like, constantly bring drama is different from watching people who report drama, by the way. The hell? Give me that, I want that. Give it. I do not know where the fucking Super Bologna is. But, like, it's just a lot of shit, basically. Nobody wants to be a part of it, when it happens. But, yeah, like, there's difference like somebody reporting drama and somebody actually doing drama. Well, the person doing drama is doing things to try to make themselves feel better, which could then, result in a lot of other things that really don't make sense. These people who will continually lie and start drama will continue changing the story, continue to, they'll continue changing the story. Not only that, they'll end up continuing to sweep things under the rug. That way, they're going to be lying so much that by the time they actually get caught, they would have done so much damage. Which, honestly, that's basically what has happened with the current situation. That's going to come to light anyways. And the thing is, like, you can easily avoid these situations by just not being a part of it. If somebody's having a fucking problem with you, they either need to say it or they don't, and they can just kind of just fuck off. But, like, that's literally it. You could say that there might be, like, a little bit of controversy here and there, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, like, how much of it is actually worth it? Like, it's much more interesting to learn that NVIDIA was lying about the fucking 4090 or 5070, because that's actual information you can get. Say, oh, maybe I don't want that graphics card, for example, then some random ass petty drama that ends up getting spun out of control because somebody could not take criticism is quite literally probably the most petty thing you can do. Not only that, not only couldn't they take criticism, they were prepared to lie about certain things that didn't make sense. So, like what are they exactly trying to do? And that should be like a very concerning thing with some people that you associate with. Like, I think the good amount of people that I talk to on the daily, I think I've associated with some pretty decent people, or some people who have at least became decent over time. But at the same time, it's like, you know, these same people, I've known them for a while. So, like, that's like the main thing. I have no idea where this is at, and I'm probably not going to worry about it right now. Turn from the quest, and just, do a different one. And, like, the things I'm saying is pretty much, like, I'm being as real as I can, because I'm not gonna, like, fucking lie to somebody over some fucking stupid bullshit. Like, a lot of that just doesn't make sense to me, really. Like, why would you go out of your way to lie about something? Create this whole big situation. Then when you got caught, You went ahead and started lying about somebody else, got them removed from your Discord. Not only that, whenever somebody was showing you a bit of criticism or pushback, you not only, you know, let them leave, but you also lied about it. So it's like, what the fuck are they doing? God, look at the frame rate. And I guess I think it's like a good thing that I just don't waste my time on a lot of these things. It's like, it's more like a reflection of your Huh. I'll just use TAA. Like, if you're in constant drama, it's more like a reflection of yourself. Because a lot of people, like, when you're streaming, and people are noticing that you're continuing to be in drama, or continuing to participate in a bunch of drama, they're gonna know right off the bat. I mean, they're gonna either leave, they're gonna say something, they might say something and then leave. Like, you don't know what they're gonna do. So it's like a very concerning thing. Not to mention, like, if you have somebody who's consistently lying on you, or consistently making these announcements, thinking she's king shit, well, then you really gotta open your eyes and go, okay, well, is this person telling the truth? Well, obviously she's not, because she doesn't know what the fuck the truth means. So it's like, it's just a bunch of bullshit. That's all it is. Like, the things she thinks she's doing to people is not exactly what's gonna happen, basically. Like, I think, like, having people come to me, you know, saying that they're coming to me independently, and then me knowingly knowing that they did not come to me independently, is very much telling that I was a few steps ahead of them. Which I think it's bullshit to even, like, have somebody go, like, ask me fucking questions, and I'm just like, you're not really entitled to me even talking to me about it, you know? Like, I'm just barely talking about it right now. And believe me, I'm probably gonna elaborate more on it tomorrow, and that's probably, like, gonna be the end of it, but, like, or at least the next stream, but that's probably just gonna be the end of it. But I'm just not gonna, like, have somebody make slanderous accusations toward people that don't make any fucking sense. They also not only didn't make sense, those accusations that these people were getting pretty much made about, well, it didn't even line up with anything. They were just that, accusations. So, like, yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Oh, there he is. And I think another thing that people need to worry about is blindly believing somebody who has a track record of basically just not telling the truth. Like, the reason as to why I'm, like, even saying stuff like this, really being sort of vague with it, is because, yes, there is going to be something that's going to be released pretty soon. yes, this person's going to probably find out, and they're probably going to freak out because they got caught. And you know what? You know, normally I'd feel bad if somebody like, actually I wouldn't feel bad if somebody got caught, but like at the same time, I'd feel bad if I was in somebody's position where it's like, you know, you get constantly berated or constantly like bullied at certain points where it's like, where you're basically backed into a fucking corner. Then you have somebody who, on top of that, decides to make false allegations or try to say something about you. It's like it's very fucked. So like, whatever ends up getting released today, I will end up having to put it in my Discord because it's going to provide a lot of clarity. Don't get me wrong, like, I've done nothing wrong in this situation. I've done everything right. I have done every single thing right. And every single thing I can do just to ensure people aren't continuing to, not only continuing to spread drama, but also, so like it sort of puts it up a stop to it. Done everything I could. This is an Elder Dragon, by the way. First Elder Dragon in the game, by the way. I don't think Nergigante's not. He's like an Elder Dragon killer, actually. But this is like the first Elder Dragon. Or Elder Beast, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But yeah, just people got to be more careful now on the internet. Like, yeah, you have a thing called a digital footprint, and there are ways to like diminish it. But there are some ways that like once you fuck up, good fucking luck trying to clean that up. God. And I think I've said this before, but like it usually takes somebody 3 years to change as a person. And I've said this because I've been through it as well in my life. Before like I've, you know, developed a little bit more common sense to what I have. It takes 3 years. It takes 7 years for your body to change. This is like a normal thing, but it takes 3 years for you to mentally change. And that can happen at any interval. So if somebody's not willing to make the change, well, then they'll never have any sort of character development. They'll never be able to take any sort of accountability for anything, which is also a thing that's going to be brought up. I'm not like, going to get into a lot of details, but a lot of the reasons as to why, you know, certain things are going to end up happening soon is because this person refused to take accountability. And at first you might think, well, you know, what did they do? Well, they did things that weren't good. That will be elaborated on whenever the things actually get released. But they did things that weren't good. And one of them was, you know, to be very general with it, they fucking spread false accusations about people I'm aware of. And I'm just like, I can't just sit idly by while somebody's just freely doing this, thinking they'll never get caught. Fuck that. I mean, like, would you, like, just sit idly by if somebody's doing something you know that's not good? Well, obviously not. That's just basically the way I see it. I think I've said pretty much enough about it. At least enough to where it can be, like, it could sort of make a little bit of sense. But there'll definitely be more clarity, and I'll be more elaborate on it, at least by tomorrow. Because I'll go through the document tomorrow. That's probably what I'll do. I'll go through it. But I'm not gonna like tell you what's in it. Not immediately. I just sort of have a feeling like this is probably gonna be one of those situations where like people know this person's done wrong, but people are still gonna like just disregard it. But yeah, that's basically what I have on my mind lately. Yeah. Just gotta be careful. And people are not who they say they are. Except me. I am who I say I am. I've been very transparent with people. At least transparent enough to where I'm not doxing myself others, but you know what I mean. But yeah, that's basically what I gotta say about that. It's like I'll be more direct tomorrow whenever there's more when it's actually worth talking about. But I did make the announcement. It didn't seem like anybody really was too like alarmed by it, but like at the same time I'm like very much like, okay, well, you know, got to make sure my community doesn't freak out, you know, against people that might be in my Discord. And you know, in case some random shit's been happening behind the scenes. But like I can just assure you, nobody's done anything wrong in my Discord. Unless they're that. Unless they're bot. I'm like, the fuck? What the fuck? Yeah, you gotta be very careful with some people. They will stab you in the back. Not good. Good at all. But I think like everybody that I normally talk to or talk to every now and then, they're all pretty much good, except like bad apples. So like hopefully somebody got something out of this. We're probably gonna get something more out of it tomorrow. Because I'm gonna have to like sort of talk about what went down. Nothing that I'm in trouble with. But it would basically be putting this other person. So yeah, that'll be a thing. Anyways, I guess like I said, like what I said in my Discord, you just gotta be careful and you gotta be like not fucking eating into it. Like 99% of the time it's best to just ignore drama, with the exception of like, oh, if you're getting slandered or something. Of course you want to fight against back that or something. Like, since all this has happened, I'm not even sure if this other person said anything about me, pretty much. I'm not even sure because I don't talk to them. You know, I had to like, I pretty much cut communication off with this person because like, the things that they were doing was not good. Bunch of red flags. You got to be able to identify who, you know, when a red flag happens too. And simply talking about a situation or simply talking about like how a situation went down, well, that's not like a red flag. It's basically like, okay, this is what happened, you know, just setting the record straight, sort of. It's not like, oh, this person did this. Like, no, that's hearsay. That's hearsay, that's bullshit. And it could be people lying too. So it's like, gotta be careful. Very careful. There's some people on the internet that just won't care and they will take advantage of whatever the fuck you want. And then they'll swear up and down they've done nothing wrong. And then they will continue to do the things that they were doing wrong. Which I've noticed this. I've been streaming for like 8-9 years on Twitch. And uploading videos off and on, as well as like started streaming, multi-streaming on, you know, YouTube. Well, so like, I've been doing this for a while, and I've seen a lot of things happen on the internet, and I'm just like, there are good examples of what not to do. Like, oh, you see somebody do that? Don't do that. Just don't do that. It didn't work out well for them. Why would you think it would work out well for you? So I'm surprised, like, not a lot of, like, some people can identify that, but some people just don't. They just fucking, you see, like, the same, you see, like, 5 people do the same fucking thing. It's very concerning, too. Then you see like VTubers and streamers getting caught doing some heinous shit, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I think like all the good people who have like gotten famous, like PewDiePie, Maximilian Dude, for example, shit, Chibidoki, fucking Iron Mouse, might as well mention some VTubers too. They haven't done anything wrong, right? But then you have some other VTubers and other streamers who have clearly done some shit wrong because their priorities are not straight. I'm not sure as to what goes through somebody's head whenever they start drama on the internet. But I think it's like, they're just trying for something, and I don't know what they're trying to do. Now people like False ID or Alara who report on drama, well, they're not part of that, because like, they're just reporting basically the news at that point. At least on like the, you know, the micro celebrity kind of stuff. That's basically what streamers are, micro celebrities. If they're well known. So like, it's very, kind of racks your head up against the wall kind of sort of deal. Like, why does somebody do certain things that they do and then they turn around and try to say they didn't do it or try to fucking lie about it? Like, what the fuck are you doing? You gotta lock in, you gotta make content, you gotta make things people actually want to watch or even listen or even talk about. I know I've been like sort of lazy on the whole developing or making videos lately outside of streaming, but like, people would rather see somebody, you know, have fun, not have fucking problems, not going to fucking arguments, bullshit things, than somebody being in constant drama all the time, where it starts creating even more problems. That way they start to become disinterested, because they're no longer having fun watching you, they're no longer having fun even listening to you talk. It could very much make somebody feel dejected. They would feel very they'd rather separate themselves from that. That's why you see like people like fucking Dr. Disrespect losing people because of the things he did. It's a very extreme thing I just said, but you should know what I mean. Like, you gotta be careful with these fucking people. Gotta be very careful. Yo, thank you for the follow. Thank you, Reetsuit. Reetsutao. Thank you. What's up? I'll also play some multiplayer, you know, while I'm at it. Makes things go quicker. Yeah, you gotta be very careful. You gotta like not get into these problems. How's it going? It's going pretty good. I'm playing Monster Hunter World. I'm kind of waiting for Wilds to either get patched or if I could find some sort of fix for it for Linux. I don't want it to crash. Crashing is not good. I think there's like available fixes, like you can change the direct storage and stuff like that. You can also do something like put RE framework in there, put a bunch of fixes in there too. I'll have to figure that out later whenever I switch to Nobara. Yeah. An engine app. Yeah, it's going pretty well, I'd say, like, on my end. You just found your guide on VTubing and Linux, you're checking it out? Yeah. There's gonna be a wiki made as well. Somebody ended up forking it and making a wiki. So it's gonna be even easier to look at. Yeah, so the whole idea of like making the VTuber guide, and I've said this before, all the information on VTubing on Linux was so far spread out, it was not all in the same spot. I was the first person to essentially just put it all together. I ended up, you know, I'm using Linux Mint now. I'll be switching to Pop! OS and Nobara as well. So Pop! OS won't be that much different from Linux Mint when I get the stuff set up again. But like, it's very interesting to see how much you can actually do on Linux. You can even do VR on Linux. So I do need to add that to the guide at some point whenever I actually get my model VR chat. But like, yeah, it's very fucked. Rathless. But yeah, there'll be a wiki made. Somebody's making that I know. That's gonna be pretty cool. The guide as it is still good. You're able to like do a lot of things with it. You don't have to rely on Windows for shit. You do not have to use Windows anymore. Deeply. You don't want to use Windows 11. Fuck Windows. Move to something like Linux Mint. Pop! OS. Probably the easiest thing you can do right now. Stop using Windows. You know, tell Microsoft, hey, I'm done. I've already, done the things. So I think moving forward, Microsoft's not going to make any other OSs like Windows 10 or 7. Because Windows 10 was the closest thing to Windows 7. So like, when it's going to end up losing support in like 5 months. Well, yeah. No. More than Manjaro thinking about dual booting Linux Mint? Yeah. If you ever dual boot anything, use a different drive. Oh god. Yeah, I'm using Linux Mint right now. Doesn't Manjaro break the AUR though? I've only been on Linux since last May, by the way, and I know it quite a bit on like how to like get things going. It's fucking crazy. But then again, I've been using computers for a while. So the idea of, you know, the idea of basically doing that is like, not bad. I wonder if Mandro ever fixed this stuff. I will say, if there's at least one OS I don't really recommend a normal user to use, unless they like have a grandparent that wants to use a computer, is to basically use Zorin OS. Because Zorin OS is like, it doesn't have quite as much overhead as Windows 11, but it's close. They have things on there that probably shouldn't be in there. But yeah. The reason why I'm like gonna switch to Novara on my gaming computer is because I have another computer I'm making that's gonna use Pop! OS for streaming. To my understanding, Pop! OS has better NVIDIA driver support than Nobara does right now. It's really weird. But plus it wouldn't be hard to set things up with it. And then with Nobara, it's like you're just setting everything else up. That means I'd be using both Fedora and Ubuntu-based distribution at the same time. Oh shit. Alright, well I wanted to cut the tail off, but... Yeah, I think it's very vital to have this information available because we're living in a world where basically we got big companies, including Firefox at this point. We got big companies thinking they can do whatever they want, and they continue to cause these issues where they start causing servicing issues, which is something Valve ended up stating a long time ago. Not only just for piracy, it's a servicing problem. Where if you start making things less functional for people, like Windows is now less, like effectively, Windows 11 is effectively less functional than Windows 10. Some people might say it's a skin, it's not. At least it has stopped becoming something like that. Because before it used to be just like a skin. You know, it used to have all the same things like Windows 10 had, except maybe some visual changes, right? Now it's changed to where Recall is now, in Key Recall and Copilot, they are now they're required on Windows 11. You can't get rid of them. And the only way to like really uninstall is if you use Linux. Like yeah, so you might run into some problems, like maybe some games might have some direct play issues, but you can always run like a VM with Windows 10. Like, there are ways to get around certain bullshit. You need that one thing for Windows, get a virtual machine and just run Windows through that. It might not give you all the performance unless you have a script. But like, effectively speaking, like nowadays, like if this was like 10 years ago, I'd be like, no, don't use Linux, because Linux would be bad back then, right? Now Linux is really good. Now Linux is very viable. Linux is so viable that PewDiePie is now starting to use it. That should tell the companies that, hey, this big YouTuber, who is probably the godfather of, you know, Let's Plays and shit, might be exaggerating there, but like, it's getting to the point to where it's like, people don't want to use Windows anymore. And Microsoft should be very afraid of the implications. Because if people don't want to use Linux, guess what they're going to move to? I mean, if people don't want to use Windows, guess what they're going to move to? They're going to move to either Linux or Mac OS. Or maybe FreeBSD. I don't know anybody who really uses that distro, but like, it is what it is. Like, they would at least give themselves those options. If you're getting yourself into a problem to where it's like, oh my god, that's a lot of shit. If you're a company and you're creating issues that don't need to be created, just, you know, believe it or not, people don't like change. Some people might like change, but like, It's not a good thing for people to be like that. This was an expedition. Anyways, you did start Linux 12 years ago, and today easier to switch to Linux. You're still casual though. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I fucking know everything. I know how to operate the system. I know how to operate Arch, Fedora, and Ubuntu. I did at least try them. I know how to use them, provided I can find the stuff online. But I'm not gonna be like a developer. I'm using this to play games and stream on, watch stuff and play games with people, right? And like based on the sole principle of like not using Windows, ever since May of last year, when I was officially putting it on my main computer, even before I did Tech Over Tea with Brody Robertson, which, you know, he's pretty cool. Even before I was on Tech Over Tea, because I did talk about a lot of stuff on Tech Over Tea, and I was still still fresh into this kind of stuff. But I also took the amount of time to test it on my laptop to see if I actually wanted to use it. Well, after testing it for a while, other people started to want to use it as well. Other people started to switch from Windows to Linux. It started to create this sort of like small chain reaction of some VTubers and some people just switching over, because they're realizing that when you have a company like Microsoft, who in the past had a really good operating system like Windows 7 Ultimate, Windows 10 Pro, you know, stuff like that, those operating systems are fine. You can tweak them enough. You can make them at least usable. That way they're not a problem, right? When you have Windows 11, and Windows 11 gives you this problem of not only having Copilot plus recall, you also had options that were available in Windows 7 and Windows 10 completely deleted from the OS, completely removed. Where if you want to even find a setting that's so similar, you have to go through 5 fucking windows to do it. Not only that, if you need to like disable certain things, you have to go into the registry, and you have to also go into the processes like you normally would. But then you can't even guarantee if those will stay off. Like, nobody wants to use an operating system that will essentially control them. Like, nobody wants to use that kind of shit. It's very much a very bad thing, really. Let's see if I unlocked any armor. Like, nobody wants to use an operating system that they have to fight with. Which is reason as to why Windows market share went down, Linux market share went up, and so did Mac's. Mac's market share went up a little bit. Some people don't play games. They want to use their computer, and if they're told that they can't use their computer by a company, then why even use Windows to begin with? If I could run at least 85 to 90% of the things I would normally use on Windows, on Linux, even when there's some alternatives that are also better on Linux, and they're free, why would I want to use Windows? You know? Like, the only thing I can really think about on like having to use Windows is having to go to work to use it. Because if your work hasn't adopted Linux, then you're probably going to be using some sort of old Windows version, and you're just going to operate your computer that way, right? Like, at that point, yeah, that's fine. It's at work, but like your daily driver, and if you have to fight to use your daily driving computer, nobody's going to want to go through that. Not a single person wants to go through that. I can't think of a single person who would, like, even want that, really. Ooh, gala suit. You remember when you're on Windows 7, you change the system font, the custom one, now you have to edit the registry, it doesn't even change everything you wanted, yeah. Or if you get like third-party programs to even work around some issues. Like, I hope these companies in a couple years start to realize that, like, it isn't exactly like what the OS has or how it really looks. It's basically how functional it is. If it's functional and people will use it, they will switch to it. This has been proven by people switching from Windows 10 to Linux Mint. Linux Mint, I have a similar looking interface, but it might not look exactly like Windows 10. It might not have everything that Windows 10 has, but it's functional, it works, and it lets you get your shit done. And it doesn't even interrupt you. Outside of maybe the occasional kernel crash, but that's really dependent on like what the fuck you're doing with it to begin with. That's like the only thing really. Everything else is just like, oh, you want to update your system? Fine, update your system. Oh, we're done updating it? You can reboot it later. Unless they ask you to reboot it. But like, you can reboot it later. You have been updated. And you're still using your computer. Or you go to shut your computer off without updating. Well, it doesn't stop you from turning it off completely. It just turns it off and then waits to let you update it later. It's very much a non-invasive thing. More people need, and more companies need to realize that. Like, nobody wants to deal with things that are getting forced onto them. This is like, you know, there's a reason as to why Ubisoft isn't doing so good right now. Is they're making things people don't want. They're milking Assassin's Creed, bone dry. I don't have any issue with any of the games they made. The only issue I have is their pricing. Like, why would you scalp people? Like, they're essentially scalping people at that point. Not only that, you have your whole CEO pretty much saying you'll own nothing and be happy. What the fuck do you think people are gonna do? They're not gonna want to buy your fucking games, knowing damn well you're gonna take it back after they spent like $60 and they don't get a refund for it. What the fuck do they think they're doing? I mean, the company's effectively stealing. But then they could try to say, oh, you've had it for this long, you should have had enough time to play it. You know what the fuck people are doing? People have fucking Steam libraries where they buy a game and don't fucking play it for like 6 months to a year before they actually play it. Like, at least Steam and Good Old Games are doing something right. Good Old Games is letting you keep your stuff, like through the installers. Steam, you know, even though you're purchasing a license, you know, if Steam ever were to shut down, well, your games are essentially just going to be like GOG games. All the DRM on all these games are going to be removed if Steam ever gets shut down. You'll still have access to the service to download the games. So it's like, it's like what are these people, like, what are these companies doing? Like, if you're having schools and businesses, some schools and some businesses don't want to pay for Windows 11 because the Windows 11 license, if they have to go through it without having to go through Kingwin or go through any other sort of key site, if they have to get this, and if they have to spend thousands of dollars on something like that, knowing damn well it's not going to be as good as what they were using before, or it can't be supported on their computers, then they can just install Linux. You know, Linux is just easier to do it. Linux can make the lunch. Linux actually makes your computer hardware last longer. This has been proven because you could take a fresh copy of Linux Mint and get one of those old ThinkPad computers that can run like Windows XP, put Linux Mint on that, and it will work just fine. You may have to use XFCE though, but like, it will work just fine regardless. You can still use it, it'll function like a new computer. You try to put Windows 11 on an old computer like that, it won't work. And if it does work, it will be laggy as fuck. So like, it's very concerning where these companies are going, or where they're even least headed. Because to me, it sounds like they're headed towards something that doesn't sound too good. like Windows isn't gonna go bankrupt or anything. People are still gonna use it because there are some people who just don't care. They just want to use the computer. They don't care how much they're not getting out of their computer. They'll just use it anyways. Which is why you'll still see people use Windows. Like, not everybody's gonna move away from Windows. Because Linux, you know, Linux clearly does have some issues of its own to work out. The main thing is like, I guess maybe it's mistake, but there's like over 2,000 distros. But lately, I think people have been sort of narrowing it down to, oh, if you want to try out Linux, use Linux Mint, because it is probably the easiest thing somebody can do. Because it's not gonna like, imagine moving from Windows and you're fucking using like a windowing, you know, being forced to use a windowing tiling manager, or used to fucking, or if you're not used to using Mac, or, you know, not switching to GNOME. Like, you don't want to scare people off. You want to give them like the option, which is why there's so many BEs as well, like KDE. KDE is sort of like Windows. Cinnamon is sort of like Windows. Mate is sort of like Windows. XFCE, if it's configured properly, sort of looks like Windows. At least all these like designed after different versions. Like, you gotta have some sort of like visual, you know, you gotta make somebody be comfortable with the OS. You don't want to like, oh, what the fuck is this? Here again. Oh god. I want to fight that. Go away. Like, you don't want to scare somebody off. You want to like introduce them. You want to introduce them to something that's easy to use. And there might be some elitist out there going like, "Oh, why are you recommending Linux Mint? It doesn't even have Wayland support." That's not the point. The point is to get their foot in the door. And if you're not even letting them do that, you're trying to force like Wayland and Arch on them, they're never gonna switch. But if you use something very simple like Pop OS, like Linux Mint, Zorin OS even, well, you're then introducing a friendlier environment for somebody to actually get into it. That way later on, if they feel like experimenting with something else, they can distro hop into Fedora, or they could distro hop into Arch Linux. And then, if they don't like it, they can either switch back to the old OS that they were using, which would probably be Linux Mint, or Pop OS, or they'll just stick with the new OS to stay on it for a while. And I think some of the best things you can do to even test it out is if you were to get like, you're already on Linux and you want to try a different distribution, use quick EMU or QEMU to get a virtual machine. Or if you're just on Windows and you want to try out Linux, well, go to DistroC. DistroC will give you a vast list of Linux distros to try out. See which one that you actually want to use, one that you feel the most comfortable with. And then once you do that, you actually switch to Linux, then you'll have more of a control over your computer. Because the driver support like isn't like bad, I'd say. Like Nvidia's getting much better, AMD's God tier, Intel's sort of getting better. Like, give it like a couple more years, and we're gonna essentially have Linux systems that can do everything that Windows can do, and then some. Albeit maybe some minor differences with like your easy anti-cheat sort of shit with like Vanguard or whatever. Like anything kernel level probably won't work unless there's like a specific kernel built for it, which is what I think is probably where that's headed. When you use Vanguard, you got to use this specific kernel to even play the game. Good luck. Be like that, but like that's the only way that they're gonna be able to get around it. I don't want to die here. So basically, like, when you're doing that and you're getting like a Linux distribution that is very comfortable for somebody to use, and, you know, if they happen to be a VTuber, since I know it's sort of like being circulated every now and then, it's starting to become more of a thing. People, like, you had Pipkin basically going, oh, I hate fucking Windows. But then I ended up getting added, like, oh, look, there's a VTuber guide. The solution's there. It's just, the next step would be, they need to actually find a way to move. Or at least take time to learn it. Which, depending on the distribution, the easier the distribution, the less time you have to learn stuff, by the way. And the easiest way to do that is if you're on, like, Pop! OS or linuxgaming. Because all the packages are very common. A lot of websites like to use dead packages as well. Or flat packs nowadays as well. But it's very, like, if you can make things more common for people and more things like, easier, that's gonna then introduce the whole thing where it's like, okay, yeah, Linux is actually not as hard as people are saying it is. And when you're really using it, it's like, no, it's not hard. You don't even, like, for Linux Mint, if you don't stream or don't do anything super specific with it, you never even have to open the terminal. You can go to the software center, right? Get the things you need, like Steam, you know, get the other things that you need, like Steam, your web browser of choice, maybe your video editing software. That's, you know, basically what most people might need. You can get that all through just the software center. Or, you know, in Fedora's case, the Discover store, or, you know, depending on what you're getting it from. And the thing is, like, just because it's like a beginner distro, don't feel bad, because like every single distro, even if they're marked as beginner, can do the same shit. If you're doing something on Ubuntu and you're doing the same thing on Linux Mint, putting in the same commands and terminal and stuff, well, 9 times out of 10 it's just going to work the same. There's also like another thing I brought up when I was on that podcast with Brody. A lot of these distributions can just do the same things for the most part. Some might be more optimized than others. Like in Nobara's case, it's more optimized than other distributions. It's mainly meant for gaming. But like when you have such a diverse set of distribution schemes, you don't want to give somebody some sort of decision paralysis. It's not good. It's gonna be like somebody's gonna get so fucking flustered that I'm even gonna switch and I'm gonna try it. I think like one of the best things Linux has going for it right now, it's like it's not super popular. Nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really good. Have to check out Nobara too, yeah. So, Pop! OS has good NVIDIA support, because I'm going to be using the NVIDIA encoder then, because apparently it's better. The optimal way to probably use Linux, is, like if you're streaming and playing games, is to get one computer, have it run like all AMD stuff, and then put Nobara on it. And to get another computer that you want to stream with, put Pop! OS on it, and get like an NVIDIA card and run it through that. Because now you're getting higher quality options for gaming and stuff that's already optimized out of the gate. And then on your streaming computer, instead of having to use the VAPI encoder, which is what I'm using right now, you get the NVEC encoder, which does things a little bit better. So it's definitely something that's really good. And the thing is, like, the crazy thing is Linux can take advantage of that, which is really good. And I guess you'll need like a capture card to kind of like pipe the video to the other computer, but like even those, like even the ones that I found, like the EasyCap capture cards or the EVGA XR1, well, they're both pretty good. You get the EasyCap capture card that can run games at 1080p 60 FPS or 1080p 120 FPS for $80. It's UVC compliant and it will work with Linux out the gate. So like I'm using the Pile Link 4 right now, which is basically the same thing, but like it's just gonna work. And that's basically the only thing you can really hope for when you are using Linux. Like most of the things nowadays just work. And they're there, and they're that way for a reason. And like the whole appeal of Linux nowadays is like, yeah, it's a distribution you can run. Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely want to do that. Some games like Monster Hunter Wilds don't really like don't like OBS. So let's say you're playing Monster Hunter Wilds, most recent game. You could probably run it very stably if you're playing. Yo, Rainier, thank you for the raid. What's up? Thank you. Yeah, you could probably like, yo, what up? What's up, everybody? Hello, Moku. Hello, welcome. Playing Monster Hunter World because Wilds isn't doing too good right now. I can still play Wilds, and I think like one of the things that I need to do is I need to optimize it, put all the mods that it needs in order for me to play it properly, and hope it doesn't crash. Yeah. Hi, Ritsu. Yeah. What's up? Hello, everybody. Hello. Yeah, but like distributing the load with a 2 PC setup is probably the best thing you can do, because then you can like you'll get all your quality options on one computer. You can run all your VTubing programs on another. No Wild Sag. I have it. I'm playing World right now because I kind of need to get through Iceborne to get the reward in Wilds, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. Because I kind of want the other reward as well. I want to get everything I can, as well as like play World, because I haven't played World all the way, so that's also a thing. But like having a 2 PC setups is good, and I'm probably gonna have one pretty soon, because you can take all your programs you normally use for streaming, like OBS, your yeah Iceborne, really fun. Yeah, I haven't played Iceborne yet. I have played Base World before, but I haven't played Iceborne. So when I get around that, it's gonna be pretty good. But like for some games that aren't like really optimized, you're gonna want to use one computer to play the entire game. That way you can sort of crank the settings up. That way it's not really conflicting with anything, which no bar is gonna be really good at. Really good at. The other thing is like if you're running a streaming computer and you're getting to that situation to where it's like, you know, you need to make sure that your stream runs well without it crashing. Well, Monster Hunter Wilds on PC doesn't like OBS, because what will end up happening is OBS will start dropping frames for whatever reason. You'll start seeing your FPS drop because it's using your CPU as well. But if you have everything else on one other computer, well then that's no longer an issue. Now you will have consistent stream quality, and you'll be able to stream at a decent bit rate, everything you need to use. Everything outside of the gaming computer will be like on the main stream. So when you're doing that, it's definitely making things easier for people. Let's see here. Radobon. I'll probably have to use hammer if I fight this one, but go ahead and hunt this one real quick. This won't take very long. But yeah, it's like nowadays, and honestly, like if you're gonna build a computer, don't get a 50 series card. Don't even get a 900 series card, because pretty soon a lot of those cards are gonna be too fucking expensive to get. Your best thing to do is hope it's a decent price on Amazon or eBay, or get the computer parts either built already through Facebook Marketplace or some sort of third party. That way it's like easier to get. So I think like I can see in like the next couple months that all the hardware is good. If you can get at least a 500 series, 600 series, or 700 series card, you'll be fine. If you can get a 300 series, 400 series, 200 series, or 1 series card for NVIDIA, you'll be fine as well. The reason why I say that is because the 1 series cards can still play games. And if you're getting the parts secondhand, you're able to inspect it, see if it works. You're not spending a shit ton of money on it. Well, then you're not gonna have to worry about like everything that's going to happen, like whenever these GPU prices start to skyrocket. For a while at least. No eating them, please. But yeah, like, you gotta be very careful. Like, getting the newer cards nowadays, like, if you're gonna get them, I'd say probably get them as soon as you can. But, like, it's gonna be really expensive. Like, something that probably would have cost $400 is probably gonna cost about $600. Which isn't good. It's gonna be kind of hard to build a computer that way. It means it'll take longer for somebody to build a computer, except to save longer for it. Like, the only things I have left to get, like, I know it says $250, but I'm only like $100 short. You eat monsters every day, yeah. Oh my god, that's fucking huge. I'm only like $100 short, but all I need is a CPU and motherboard and I'm done. Then I can kind of remove it. But like, after that, it's like, yeah. Distributing the load between, yeah. Big chicken. Look at all them chickens. Yeah, having more than one computer to distribute the load, even if it's like a Dell Pediplex, you can get Dell Pediplex computers for a fairly decent amount. They're like maybe a couple years old, not so bad where it's like not usable. He's stuck in the bottom of that place. Like, you can do that, get yourself like a decent NVIDIA card. Stream using that. Really depends on what you're using though. Like, at bare minimum, you need at least, if you want like really good streams and you don't have like a lot of money to spend on the hardware, you can get 2 Dell Pediplexes, use one for games, put like the better GPU in that one, and then use a different GPU for like an RX 580 and the other Pediplex, for example. And then you can stream using that. It might be using like a different i5 or i7, as long as it's not super old. As long as it's not older than like 6th generation i5 or something like that. I'd say maybe just try to stick with at least 7 and up for like the generations for like the i5s and i7s, so you get more out of it. You could do that. It'll still stream the game. Maybe get something like 16 gigabytes of 16 gigabytes of RAM on the streaming computer, preferably 32, depending on what programs you run. You can get yourself either an RX 580 or one of those NVIDIA Quadro cards to sort of do your encoding on one GPU, as well as a capture card like an Elgato or the cheap ones, depending on what kind of distribution or OS you're using. For the gaming computer, what you could probably do is you could probably still run an RX 580, or you can get yourself like a 1 series, 2 series, 3 series card, or get yourself a 5, 7, or 6 series card for like AMD. And you'll have a decent gaming time doing that too. That way, now you're in a situation to where your games are going to look fine, and your stream's going to run well. You're not going to have any hiccups most of the time. Because it actually takes less encoding and transcoding to use a capture card than it does to actually stream from the actual computer. And then some people who don't stream don't realize that as well. Yeah. Like, some people who don't stream at all just think, oh, you only need like one computer. Like, no, if you need quality, you need 2. Now, getting the second computer doesn't have to be super expensive either. Specific rig for your stream, yeah. Right now, I'm gonna be using I'm gonna have the same CPU because it's like it's a no-brainer to get an a Ryzen 5 5500 because AM4 is still relevant. I'll be getting an AMD board that's gonna be good. I have a 3056 gigabyte just sitting in my room. I have an M.2 and an SSD sitting in my room. I have a 500 watt power supply. I'll be changing my capture card over to that new computer. And I have a small form factor case. Things like the Quartermaster Q300L. It's not amazing, but it will do the job. And then once I'm done with that, I won't have to fuck with it for a while. Oh yeah. Dead chicken, yeah. Chicken is dead. Must carve the meat. I gotta carve the meat. But yeah, it's like I'm gonna have all that going. I have my old keyboard and mouse. So my older an older mouse, and then like a mechanical keyboard. So I'll have that as well. So I'll have like 2 keyboards, 2 mouses going. Then I'll be taking these other 2 monitors that I'm using right now for the stream and just using them for the other computer and just using 1 monitor for the gaming computer. And I think I'll be pretty good on that. I just know, like, not everybody can get 2 computers. Some people might be more benefit, you know, some people might actually benefit from 1 computer. But they'd be spending a lot more. Like, if you're going to stream from 1 computer and you want to make sure you don't have any massive dips in your stream performance, you might want to get a 5 series card with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. But I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth getting a 5 series card because the connectors will melt. Just like the 40 series cards used to. I don't recommend getting a 9 series card because even though it's a good value and it's doing pretty good right now, I don't think it's worth getting. Login bonus. Worst launch from NVIDIA? Yeah, by far it is. It is by far the worst launch from NVIDIA. Like they could have honestly done a lot better than what they did, but they didn't. They chose to do things that didn't make sense. I'm probably just gonna progress in the story soon. Ooh, Thunderproof Mantle. Oh yeah, okay. Doing these optional quests actually like gives me shit too. It's good. '50 series has a really horrible launch. Not to mention they're lying to people now, just to try to get people to buy it. Which they're probably gonna do everything before they crash out whenever prices start to skyrocket more. Because we're gonna have another situation where it's not the scalpers taking things. Well, now it's gonna be people just can't fucking afford it. Oh, I need Elder Dragon though. Maximum might. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna get into a situation where graphics cards are gonna be kind of hard to get. Now, RX 580s, there'll be no shortage of them. You can get them for $100. And I honestly, I think like if you're just starting out and you don't want to spend a lot of money, go for like the cheaper stuff at first. Like if you're streaming, right, and you want to get the most value out of your stuff, at least starting out, or playing the game, starting out. 8 gigabytes of VRAM is good. The cheapest card you can get for that is an RX 580, and they are actually pretty decent cards. They may not be the most powerful ones, but they will at least let you do some things on them. And especially on Linux, they still have support. So like, it's not even gonna be like, a bad thing. So now, like, yeah. So if you're gonna get something cheap, you're gonna want to get an RX 580, the cheapest Ryzen CPU you can find. Preferably Ryzen 5, but you can get away with Ryzen 3. Since you're just kind of less cores to work with. 16 gigabytes of RAM at least, and an M.2 and an SSD, and then a decent power supply, like. At minimum, maybe a 700 watt Thermaltake Smart power supply, even though those are not like amazing, but they're not even bad either. So it's like you can do that, and then if you wanted to bump it up a bit, you can get yourself like a 3060. 3060s are still relevant. They're not super expensive either. You get 12 gigabytes of VRAM out the gate. They're like slightly more than a 30, or like $60 more than a 3050, depending on if you can, you know, afford it. And then maybe 32 gigabytes of RAM, and maybe a Ryzen 5 3600. Or 5500 or 4500, they're all about the same. So like, you can easily get away with that, I think. And then like and then later on, if you want to build another computer, well, you can use the computer you already built as your streaming computer, and then you can build your new computer to be better. Because nowadays, you're probably going to want to keep as much hardware as you can, just in case things happen. And if things do happen, it's going to take a little bit longer to actually save for them, because it's going to be a little bit more inconvenient. Oh my god. Yeah, it's good advice. And then, if you actually get more of your hardware done, use Linux. Just use Linux right out the gate. Linux has good streaming stuff. Preferably start out with something like Ubuntu. Well, not Ubuntu itself, but like Linux management, Pop! OS. Start out with something like that. Maybe even research it. See what you actually want to use. Every distribution has access to OBS. Every distribution has access to Steam. So you'll have that. Every distribution, as long as your stuff is UVC compliant, you can use your webcam as well. So every distribution has access to that. Every distribution has access to the shared libraries. Some distributions you may have to go a different way about it. But regardless, it's about the same. Like, everything that Ubuntu has, or Ubuntu-based distributions have, Arch has the AUR. So you can use the AUR that way. With Fedora, well, you can use DistroBox. You can use DistroBox in anything, actually. DistroBox, what that is... Yo, thank you for the follow. Thank you, Tama. Thank you, Tama Hariyama. Thank you. So every distribution actually has access to a thing called DistroBox that you can download and get. What that is say you're running Ubuntu and you want something off the AUR, which is on Arch. Well, what you can do is you can run DistroBox. DistroBox is efficiently running Arch as in a container and use it in your system. So say you're running use like a specific application. Well, you can use DistroBox to run the application, and then you're using an Arch application on Ubuntu, or an Arch application on Fedora, or an Ubuntu application on Fedora, or a Fedora application on Ubuntu. Like, it'll work. You know, if you absolutely needed something like that. But I'd say, like, stick with something easy to use. I don't care what somebody says, like, oh, you know, use this as Wayland. It says Wayland support. I don't give a shit about Wayland. I want my shit to work. Use Xorg. Comp OS and Linux Mint do that pretty well. Like, I know Nobara is going to use Wayland, but KDE Plasma's kind of, like, okay with it, I guess. But you can always switch to Xorg in case shit happens, you know? Now, generally speaking, some applications might run better on Wayland than Xorg, but it really just depends. But Xorg is older, and the way I see it, it's older, it's more refined, and it will work better. Right now I'm using Xorg on Linux Mint. The game's clearly being played, so like, that happens. And also, don't feel scared off that if some games don't work, because if you go to ProtonDB, you'll notice that, oh, there's like 17K word games that work. You go to RE Anti-Cheat, and you'll just notice, oh, there's only like 300 games that don't work. There are some games that just don't work at all. Go to Anti-Cheat. And that's fine, because you don't have to play those games, you just play the good games. Why would you want to play League of Legends when you can play Dota 2? It's my game. If you need your MOBA fix, well, there's plenty of other MOBAs that don't use Vanguard, so you'll be good. You can even play games like on Blizzard. You can get Warcraft 3, you can play Dota 1 as well if you need it. I'm pretty certain every distribution can play CSGO. Pretty certain there's always something like that. So like there's some Linux native games, but the Linux native games don't really hold up very well in comparison to Proton. Proton is what I'm using right now. It's a compatibility layer that lets you play Windows games on Linux. It's effectively like communicating in real time. And it works. And Proton can be used for other stuff like programs as well. Which I think it also gets used in YGE, but yeah, like Proton basically also gets used for stuff like bottles, Fluitress, Heroic. And it all works. It works just fine. Yeah, it's like you gotta be careful. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that, but like you gotta be like, I'd say like if you're switching from Windows to Linux, you gotta be sort of prepared too. Like you have to have a little bit of prepare. Like you have to go into it knowing it's not gonna be. And I think some people might have issues trying to reconcile that at first, but I think they'll be fine. I think like if you have enough like if you have enough computer literacy, I mean if you're able to use Windows, you should be able to use an easy to use Linux distribution. That's like any of them. Like anything that has a software center and will let you play games out of the gate, you don't even need terminal for it. Like Linux, the only bad things Linux has a bad stigma for is like, oh, you need to use terminal for everything. Well, that isn't true anymore. You don't have to use terminal for anything. Unless you're like wanting something super specific or you need something super specific. You don't need it for anything. The other thing would be like the amount of distributions there are. There's a lot, and a lot of these distributions can get people to go, what if I use this? What can I use this? Will this work? Will this work? Will this work? Well, research it or look it up, because that's probably the best thing you're going to get out of it. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, this is more the high rank stuff. I should probably be doing one of these. I'm gonna hunt the Odogaron. I'll probably end up using a SOS flare here though. But yeah, like if you're gonna like switch from Windows to Linux, you gotta be a little prepared. Just a little bit. You'd be like, okay, gotta get the USB stick. Gotta make sure. I mean, you know, some things like Linux Mint, Pop! OS, they both support Secure Boot. Something like no, bar will not. So you have to turn Secure Boot off. At least I think that's how it is. So like, yeah, you gotta be able to be aware of that. Your hardware barely matters. I mean, you could run fucking any Linux distribution with at least an RX 480 if you wanted to. Which is like probably like the lowest thing you can run it with. So I think anything past that is going to be kind of hard to run with a newer sort of modern distribution. Like older distributions, like, yeah, of course you can do that. Like if you've seen the thing like a couple years ago, and it's a good video. It's like the supercut of Linus Tech Tips trying to learn how to use fucking Linux. So that's, you know, they did have some like, you know, key points in there. It's like, you know, got to make this stuff easier for people to use, so it's not that much of a headache. Well, I feel like a lot of Linux distributions has done just that. They have made it easier to use. It's gotta be easier to use, and it's gotta be just as good, basically. Can't be the same though. Like there's gotta be a little bit of learning in it. There it is. I should have probably hit SOS and I didn't do it. Well. Oh god, I'm bleeding now. On a tangent, do you play board games? Sometimes I'll play a board game. I think the next board game I'd probably want to play is maybe like D&D or something. Pretty sure some like tabletop simulator. So I think that'd be cool. I mean, Mario Party's a board game too, so like. Well, I've played Yahtzee before. Played Monopoly before. Do you want to play that one Japanese game? I think it's like Fortune Street. Yeah, it's Fortune Street.
That oil.
Yo!
Bombs. You want it? It's yours, my friend. As long as you have enough.
Maybe when I'm not getting my ass handed to me by an Odor, I can give Junior a Bordor. Hi Benny, how you doing? I'm just talking about how important it is to use an easy-to-use Linux distribution when you're starting out from Windows. Hell yeah. And master D&D and other systems, cool. Whenever I get around to it and I decide to play an RPG again, I'm a wizard at them. Come on. Gotta go. Have a nice rest of your stream. Thank you. You have a good night. Thank you for coming by. Oh, what the hell? Potion came in clutch. But yeah, like if you're wanting to like get into Linux and you're also a VTuber, I do suggest checking out the VTuber guide. It's definitely something that's gonna like really ease the pain of having to do certain things. But if you're just trying to use Linux in general, you don't even need the terminal. You don't need the terminal at all. You can easily just fucking get Steam, grab Proton, and then, GE Proton, and then get OBS, and then you're pretty much set. Anything else is very much additive, and you don't really need anything else besides that, in the grand scheme of things. But if you're a VTuber, use the VTuber guide, because you're gonna have a much better time. It's gonna be much easier for you to use it because, you know, you'll be able to play games like FF14 and all that stuff. And then, like, in the event a game requires you to be on Windows to verify something, you can then go to your VM, your virtual machine, verify it there, and go back to Linux and continue playing it. But you like, the idea of, like, moving from Windows to Linux is to barely, if ever, have to rely on it. You should be able to do everything in Linux, and everything should just work in Linux. And anytime there's like a significant issue, people are always patching it out, which is good. Third Fleet Master, might as well do that. A research base. Here and here, I guess. But yeah, it's like, it's pretty good stuff. I've been doing this for a little while now. And I think, like, with me doing this, like, out the gate, because I didn't want to wait until October. I didn't want to wait using Windows while, you know, Microsoft is taking away patches from Windows 10. It's also bullshit. Like, if you want people to move to Windows 11 so much, don't ruin Windows 10. Ooh, or the Goron. Monster Hardbone or the Goron Scale Plus. Honestly, I wouldn't mind, like, farming this. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Monster Hardbones, though.
No.
Ooh. But yeah, it's like, yeah. And if you're not entirely certain that you want to like move from Windows to Linux, because you may not like Linux that much, then I mean, good luck. But like at that point, it's like you can at least give it a try. Now, what would be even cooler as well is if people were moving to Linux, but also I think what would be cool is if only people were moving to Linux, you know, the some people who don't like Windows or Linux, if they decide to move to Mac, get a Mac guide to VTubing at some point, because there's going to be some people who don't want to use either Windows or Linux. They'd rather use Mac. They'd rather run their stuff through Mac OS and just do it that way. And I think it might be achievable depending on what it supports, but there's like a thing on Mac, because Mac also has a terminal. There's a thing called Homebrew, and if you run through Homebrew on Mac, you might be able to do some things there too. And honestly, Mac is like one of the lesser of the two evils. Because at least they were at least with Apple, when they were out of the gate, they were pretty much out of the gate pretty much saying that, yeah, we are fucking you over. Anyways, they weren't like trying to change the user experience that much, because the user experience was already there for them. Very much baby Linux is what I call Mac OS. It's like a Unix system. Because like something like Mac OS, it's a Unix system. It's very much probably the simplest operating system next to Chromebooks. Some people might like that. I don't know, like if you're video editing all the time, you do stuff like that, yeah, of course you can use it through Mac OS, and I think you might be able to use OBS through Mac. I'm not entirely certain though. You might be able to. Am I hunting a Rathian or something? I am. Like, if you're doing that, that might be an option for you later on, but like, you gotta keep in mind, Macs are fucking expensive. They're more expensive than buying a Windows computer, for their licensing out the gate. So it's like, unless you decide to take the time to create a Hackintosh, which would be free, Linux is probably the best thing to get. Because it used to be like people didn't know, oh, I need Windows. I need Windows for everything. You don't need Windows. You absolutely don't. I just realized I don't have any potions because I didn't restock. Yeah, you absolutely don't need Windows. Not for like the majority of things you can do. Like, and the thing is, like, it's very much a experience. 'Cause I'm not gonna lie, like, no matter how easy the distro is, it might be a little bit familiar, but it can be a bit jarring at first. Because when I was first like learning how to stream with it, I found myself like uninstalling and reinstalling Linux and Windows, just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. And I did that for a little bit until I was like, okay, all right, let me try to make Linux work. I did, and now it's just easy to me because I know how to do it. And honestly, like, it's also dependent on if you want to put up with like the updates Microsoft forces on you. Because some people who don't like are not super tech savvy are gonna like stream, and then their whole computer's gonna update. The stream's gonna end. Then they're gonna be pissed off because the stream ended. They're gonna be pissed off because they lost stuff on their computer because they didn't configure it right or whatever. Or they end up getting one of these pre-built PCs off of like Amazon, Walmart, fucking eBay. You know, the pre-builts you get that have like okay hardware but not the best hardware you can get. Some things about it are kind of fishy, but yet when you run Windows on it, you're not getting all your performance out of it. You know, maybe you could try Linux then, because Linux will at least, and it's been proven, Linux has a lot less overhead depending on your distribution, unless it's Zorin OS. Depending on your distribution, a lot less overhead than what Windows 11 does. Because Windows 11 has this thing to where it has a bunch of shit in it. It doesn't work. Or has a bunch of shit in it that doesn't like, it's not even worth a damn. That like literally slows down the user experience. Because like, you have to take time to move the taskbar back to the left. You have to take time to do a bunch of other things. Take time to, de-bloat the system. You gotta take time to not be forced to use an online Microsoft account, which you might be forced to use anyways, depending on the situation. It's very much inconvenient. It's just a bunch of inconvenience, but they want you to pay for that inconvenience because they think that you're gonna do it anyways. Oh, they're a Windows user. They're gonna do anything. What, you know, who cares if we got rid of the original control panel in our system to make the computer somewhat usable? Who cares? Who cares if we trimmed it down? You know, shit like that. It's very, very fucked. And then, like, I had somebody, like, talk to me, like, oh, why are you, you know, why would you want to make things hard on yourself for using Linux? Like, that's not the point of using Linux. Using Linux isn't making things hard on myself. If I'm already doing the same things on Linux that I was doing on Windows, then there's literally is no, there's no difficulty at that point. Like, I was already using GIMP, I was already using Krita. I might have been using Sony Vegas, but Kden Live is literally the same fucking thing. It's very, very similar. I was already using a bunch of these things that already worked on Linux, so I'm just like, it's not making anything harder on myself. Like, yeah, sure, I might not be able to play League of Legends or fucking Valorant, but like, I don't play those games anyways. So those games are very much irrelevant to me right now, you know? And some people try to make the argument, oh yeah, if you're on Linux, you're playing nothing but single player games. Well, that could be the case, but there are plenty of multiplayer games that don't use these heinous anti-cheats that don't really do anything for anybody. Plenty of these Linux distributions that you can fucking play Marvel Rivals. It's officially supported. So like what are, like, these people thinking, you know? It's like, you could play League of Legends. I mean, you can't play. You used to be able to do that. You could play Dota 2. You know, Smite, fucking older Call of Duty games will let you play it on Linux. Like Advanced Warfare will. Infinite Warfare might as well. Can't play the newer ones though, because the whole general consensus is, oh, it's easier to cheat on Linux. Like, maybe. Have you ever thought about Windows cheaters too, since there's more of them? I wonder how that is. Apex Legends. Like, you know what Marvel Rivals did? People were cheating using tools on Windows and Linux. They'll ban your account. What they'll do? They'll ban it. They ask people not to cheat. They cheat. Get banned. You know? That's fine. Now, in the situations to where like somebody was using Bazite on it and they ended up getting accidentally banned, well, they reversed the ban. I think they ended up taking some of the bigger distributions and put them on a whitelist through Proton. So that way, like, if something happens in that distribution, it's not going to flag them as a cheater. Yeah, you can play plenty of co-op games, plenty of online games on Linux. Like that very much has changed. Like that might have been the case before, to where like before Proton was a thing, you would have something like Play on Linux or something like that. But just give it a couple more years. You know, as I'm using it, of course. But there's gonna be like massive developments. Like there's already gonna be Wine 10. That's apparently supposed to be good, which is gonna help like further make more things compatible. Like it's basically compatibility layers that are getting updated, as well as like desktop environments constantly. And eventually we're gonna get to the point where yeah, Xorg will definitely be phased out of every Linux distribution. People will stop using Xorg because you know why? Because if they can get all the bugs out of Wayland for all the other desktop environments, not counting KDE. So apparently that's the best one it has for it right now. Oh, there it is. Yo, what's up, Linkachu? How you doing? But yeah, a lot of these... I'm doing alright. Doing good. How you doing? But yeah, it's like a lot of these distributions are going to get these updates to where eventually Wayland will be what people are going to use for a while. Bit of a headache right now. Ah, you should probably take some Tylenol or some ibuprofen. You aren't my new horsey. That's what that one person said on there. Crazy. That's right, you can edit things. Anyways, yeah, eventually gotta continue working. Cool. Very cool. Thank you. Yeah. Then as the and then as things get updated, of course you can update the wiki, of course. Yeah. Yeah, as things get updated through like Linux and stuff, like eventually Xorg will be completely phased out of everything. People will be using Wayland for a while in X-Wayland. Thus making it really good. Oh my god, it's the fucking pickle. Devil Joe. So eventually Wayland will be more, will be just as common as Xorg is. And then people will be saying, oh, move to Hyperland. Apparently that's better than Wayland, for whatever reason. Miss Hyperland? Yeah. Hyperland's more like an Arch thing right now, though. It's very unstable, though, as well. Certain apps, yeah. I just have a feeling Hyperland is going to be like, Hyperlane will eventually be in the same situation Wayland is right now. Right now, Hyperlane's very much cutting room floor kind of thing. Wayland is getting on its way to being probably like more common than X-Org. Then X-Org's probably just gonna go away. As like an optional dependency or optional thing you can like install later, or optional compositor. It'll definitely stop being supported by Red Hat at some point. And that's when it's actually dead. Everything's gonna move to Wayland. And then Wayland will be the common thing for a while until Hyperland takes over. And then after that, I don't know. Kind of hard to say. Oh yeah, like, so the way my computers are going to be set up is Pop OS is going to use GNOME. It's just going to use the programs I use for it, so I'm not really caring too much. So it's just going to have the necessary things I actually use for it. It's not going to have that much. It'll have everything on like its little like favorites menu. Oh yeah, definitely. Some things are better for Flatpak, straight up. Like straight up things, some things are just better for Flatpak. Fixes the scroll lag, yeah. Because they're all... Flatpaks are containers. They're all containerized. They're all in their like their own little containers. So there's nothing actually, there's no dependencies conflicting with each other. Like the only things I don't really recommend using a Flatpak for is Steam and OBS. That's clearly it. Everything else you can use a Flatpak for, I don't care. Because like, maybe Luitris, I mean Luitris Flatpak is fine too, but like, it really depends on your OS. Mostly GTK, yeah. But like Flatpaks are cool because they're in their own containers, so they're not gonna conflict with any dependencies you have on your system, which is really good. Don't know how to fix that. I don't know. I'm only like for game capture for like the VTuber guide. There's at least one dependency conflict with the PPA version of OBS. Other than that, if you know how to use the environment variable, you can probably just use the Flatpak. I'm still gonna use the PPA though, if it's better. I can use native things. I don't have to use a custom environment variable. That might not work later. So, it is what it is. But like, yeah. As long as it works. Also, I know what's crazy. If I was using Windows, right, my CPU would probably be about like 10-20%. The CPU is only like 5%. That's it. Playing a game, 5% CPU usage on OBS. That's it. Nothing else has to be done. You're on Windows currently? I feel sorry for you. Which Windows is it? Windows 7. If Microsoft really wants people to come back to Windows, they'll just re-release Windows 7. Windows 11. Oh, LFT Enterprise. I see. You don't use normal Windows 7? Don't want AI bullcraps? Okay, that's actually a good point. The enterprise version doesn't use it. Interesting. You can't get that version through normal way anyways, yeah. Did you get it off archive.org? No. Withdrawn from Quest. They are. You have to ask distributors for it? And you certainly can't, but just one? Oh, wow. Who did you ask? Like, what's this? What the fuck going on with the game? You can't just buy. You can't buy just one? Damn. What the fuck was that? I could see some people moving to the enterprise version of Windows 10. That's still going to be supported. At least I think it is. You might have to pay like a monthly fee for it though. Just kind of shitty, but yeah. That can download normally? Oh, I see, I see. But you're using a specific version that doesn't like... Okay. I remember like eventually like one time when I had like a laptop, I had like Windows 10 Education on it. Wow. You're tired, need a rest. It's 3. Ah, I see, I see. Yeah, I'm probably gonna like end after this quest if I can fucking find the thing. Ancient bone. Where's the Oh shit. Alright, I'll catch you later. Thank you for stopping by. I don't know. It's just, overall, it's just easier just to install Linux. Like a lot easier. Where the fuck am I going? Definitely tired if I don't know where I'm going. I'm still kind of hungry. But yeah, basically that's basically the consensus of it. Like, Windows 10's gonna die soon. The only way to get a decent version of Windows 11 is if you get like the IoT Enterprise version of it with no the AI crap. Yeah, basically it. What the hell? Here. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's like basically how it is, you know. But I still highly encourage people to try out Linux. It's like probably the highest thing. The only thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to try out Linux. I'll never ask you to do drugs, never ask you to do alcohol, but I'll ask you to take Linux. Take Linux today. Oh my god, I'm fucking... yeah. Fuck, pretty cool Rathian get up. Like it. Close. Good shit, you know? Cool. Alright. Still gotta find more Rathian. I guess still gotta find more Elder Dragon stuff. At some point. I will be playing this tomorrow a little bit earlier. We'll be doing that. Oh, cool. Youtubeshorts. Yeah, that's sick as fuck. Rathian. Yeah, it's okay. I think Dodogama's the harvest. I'm gonna grab the technically better. I still want to unlock more layered armor. Honestly, I kind of want the diver stuff. Very early, I'd say. I think the actual layered armors get unlocked after when I get the ice one. I do kind of wonder what weapons I would have unlocked so far, though. I wonder about that.
Oh.
Well, upgrades, I mean. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so I can do this, I can do this. Eventually get to that. And whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, no, I can't get that yet. Wait. Bone slasher. Get that yet? What else can I get? Jaw blade is cool. Water golem. A lady. Bone shuttle. Yeah, I can definitely update this and this. Alright, guess I'll just be using that next then. It's technically better than the sword, right? Yeah. But the sword has better blast element out of it, so it's whatever. I can still use the hammer though. I'll probably just do the rest. I'll end up doing the rest of these optional quests tomorrow, so I can get good equipment, and I can decide on an equipment set I want for high rank. Because low rank really doesn't matter all that much to me. I just changed my layered armor real quick, but low rank really doesn't matter all that much to me right now. I mean high rank, whatever. Master rank. Look at that. Look at this shit. Honestly, I think like for now it just sort of looks better to have it like that. Yeah, there's nothing really else I can do to make it look better. Well, yeah, it's like when you have like a Linux system like this, Like, obviously, this is gonna change later on. You know, you gotta update your system. You know, you can use something like top grade. Kind of just like, just do that. Just updates everything. Hit yes on that. If the system's asking you to remove it, you can just sudo apt auto remove. Remove some things you don't need. Then you sort of just, you know, sudo apt update. Good shit, you know, stuff. You know, like, you can do a lot of things. Like, a lot of this stuff's just good. You definitely get a lot of freedom with it, at least. You don't have like invasive things. You don't have like you don't have too many things in your taskbar, so it's pretty good. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm going to look for somebody to raid real quick. I wonder who's live. Also, goodbye.